Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
evening. As the hour is 7 o'clock, I will now call the January 6, 2025 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting to order. Good evening, Exeter, and Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to my colleagues, respective staff, everybody here in attendance, and certainly those watching at home. I'd like to start by introducing the board. To my right, Selectman Dan Chartrand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan. Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
To my left, our Clerk, Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Nancy Belanger. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Our Town Manager, Mr. Russ Dean. Good evening.
Good evening.
Our Recording Secretary, Joanna Bartel. Good evening. And my name is Nico Papakostendis. It's nice to see a full house, and I hope we get at least this many people at deliberative session next week. Before we get into the first business of this evening, which is a proclamation, I would like to welcome Mr. Jordan's class from PEA, American Politics and Public Policy, I believe. Welcome. It's nice to see you. I think this is an annual treat that we get to meet your class. I don't know if you wanted, did you want to say a few words before we start, or?
No, that's okay.
Okay, all right. Well, certainly if you have any questions along the way, feel free to step up to the mic and introduce yourselves. We're going to start this evening with a proclamation. Today's National Law Enforcement Day. We have members of our police department here, and I'm going to ask our clerk, Selectwoman Gilman, to read the proclamation, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A proclamation, National Law Enforcement Day, January 9th, 2025. Whereas annually, January 9th is nationally recognized as National Law Enforcement Day upon its creation in the year 2015, and whereas multiple organizations worked in collaboration in the creation of National Law Enforcement Day to promote a positive portrayal of police officers among communities and in the news media. And whereas the day recognizes, appreciates, and supports the over 900,000 officers throughout the United States who have chosen the difficult career path of law enforcement officer. And whereas law enforcement officers of every rank and file have chosen a profession that puts that puts their life on the line every day for their communities and answering all calls to public service, are often taken away from their families for long hours, and work with local, state, and federal organizations making communities safer through commanded dedication. Now, therefore, I, Select Board Chair of the Town of Exeter, do hereby proclaim and affirm January 9th, 2025 as National Law Enforcement Day within the Town of Exeter, New Hampshire. All people are hereby called upon to promote gratitude, respect, and support for law enforcement officers who serve and protect our citizens and uphold the law. And that is it.
Great, thank you. And we'd like to thank you for your service, and obviously the rest of the department, and Chief Poulin and Chief McCain. And very happy to proclaim January 9th as National Law Enforcement Day. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
GPDC couldn't make it, but they had other plans, so we're
That's okay.
That's the backup that we're talking about, right?
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a bid opening for chemical purchase. Are these the bids?
Okay, how's our day?
All right.
I think there's so many because they've put separate bids in for each chemical.
Oh.
Yes.
Russ, do you want to explain what we're doing here? I think
Sure.
this would be a fascinating.
Happy to do it. So for those of you who are watching, this is a bid opening that we do at select board meetings for anything in excess of $25,000. And these are chemicals for our water treatment plant that are used in the treatment process and also at our wastewater facility here in town. So we bid these every year. We bid them once a year, and we get pricing for the year.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Dean.
You're welcome.
Okay, Madam Clerk, the first bid is from Harcross, Harcros, located in Nashua, New Hampshire. And the first bid item is sodium hypochlorite solution, 15% for the surface water treatment plant and groundwater treatment. Unit price per gallon, 2.1384. Bid item 2 is for activated carbon for surface water treatment. Unit price per pound delivered, no bid. Bid item 3 is for the potassium permanganate free-flowing for the surface water treatment plant. Unit price per pound delivered 2.4600. And bid item number 4 is for sodium hydroxide 25% for the surface water treatment plant and groundwater treatment plant. Unit price per gallon delivered 1.60.
Okay.
And after 5 years, I've learned how to say permanganate.
And we're required by law not to open them until we're doing it in public so that everybody can see what the process is and we don't put our thumb on the scale.
So it's fair and transparent. I believe
Yes.
the closing time was 4 o'clock today.
4 o'clock today, yes.
And how much notice did we give, Mr. Dean?
For this bid? Oh, this was out 30 days ago.
30 days, okay. The next bid is Azelis, A-Z-E-L-I-S, located in Sterling, Mass. Bid item number 1, sodium hypochlorite solution, 15%. Unit price per gallon delivered, 0. Bid item number 2, activated carbon for surface water treatment plan. Unit price per pound, 0.01
I'm
per
having
pound, quantity 4.800 pound bags.
Wait, it's saying they had .01.
It's looks like 1 cent per pound.
Yep.
There's seats in here. If we can stick another chair somewhere.
Bid item number 3,
I could try, go ahead. You might need to could you repeat the last one, please?
number 2.
Yes.
Yeah, activated carbon, unit price per pound is 1 cent per pound with a quantity of 4.800 pound bags.
Thank you.
Bid item number 3, potassium permanganate, free-flowing, unit price per pound delivered, and there's nothing there.
No bid.
Bid item number 4, sodium hydroxide, 25% for the surface water treatment plant. Unit price per gallon delivered, $3.315 per gallon, 1,000 gallon delivered, and/or $2.245 per gallon for 3,000 gallon prepaid.
The last part, sorry, Julie laughed and totally, I couldn't hear. The last part of the bid for. Oh, you got it. 2.45 per 3,000. That's what I missed. Thank you.
Prepaid. That one's done.
You get that?
Yep, thank you. Put my stuff away. I'm not reaching. There we go.
Okay, the next company is United Mineral and Chemical Corp. And they are located in Lyndhurst, New Jersey.
I'm sorry, what, Julie? Okay.
They've done more than one.
You all set?
I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bid item number 1, sodium hypochlorite solution, 15%, unit price per gallon. There's nothing there. Same with bid item number 2, activated carbon for surface water treatment plant, unit price per pound delivered, nothing there. Bid item number 3, potassium permanganate free-flowing, unit price per pound delivered, $2.75 per pound. And bid item number 4, sodium hydroxide, 25% for the surface water treatment plant, unit price per gallon delivered, and there's nothing there.
That was easy.
Thank you. Mr. Dean, this is the exact same bid as the one I just opened. Same company, same bid. Do we need to read it twice, or?
No.
Okay.
No. Just put them together. Take care of that.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, the next bid is from Carbon Activated Corporation, and they are from Compton, California. Okay, bid item number 1, sodium hypochlorite solution 15%, no bid. Bid item number 2, activated carbon for surface water treatment plant, unit price per pound, delivered $1.35. Bid item number 3, potassium permanganate, free-flowing for the surface water treatment plant, no bid. Bid item number 4, sodium hydroxide, 25% for the surface water treatment plant, unit price per gallon, delivered, no bid.
What was the name of the company again?
This was
Carbon
Carbon
Activated
Activated Corporation.
Okay.
Do you think we can invest in a opener for the next time?
Do you want me to prep them for you?
Not so.
Are you sure?
Yeah, thank you.
I should bring the one I bought for you years ago when I was on the board before. I still have it.
That was beautiful.
Okay, the next bidder is Univar Solutions, that's UNIVAR,
Thank you.
from Morrisville, Pennsylvania. Bid item number 1, sodium hypochlorite solution, 15%. Unit price per gallon delivered, $2.031.
2.031, yeah.
Bid item number 2, activated carbon for surface water treatment plant, no bid. Bid item number 3, potassium permanganate, free-flowing, unit price per pound delivered, $2.46. And bid item number 4, sodium hydroxide, 25% for the surface water treatment plant, unit price per gallon delivered, $1.6381. Thank you. 4 more. This one's from Coin Chemical, and they are in Croydon, Pennsylvania.
I'm sorry, what part of Pennsylvania?
Croydon,
Croydon.
Croydon. Bid item number 1, excuse me, sodium hypochlorite solution, 15%, no bid. Bid item number 2, activated carbon for surface water treatment plant, unit price per pound delivered, $2.1488 per pound. Bid item number 3, potassium permanganate, free-flowing for the surface water treatment plant, unit price per pound delivered, $2.5237 per pound. And bid item number 4, sodium hydroxide, 25% for the surface water treatment plant, no bid. This one is from Borden, B-O-R-D-E-N, and Remington Corp. And they're from Fall River, Massachusetts. Okay, bid item number 1, sodium hypochlorite solution, 15%, unit price per gallon delivered, $2.8. Bid item number 2, activated carbon for the surface water treatment plant, no bid. Bid item number 3, potassium permanganate, free-flowing, unit price per pound delivered, $2.980. And bid item number 4, sodium hydroxide, 25% for the surface water treatment plant, unit price per gallon delivered, $1.4510. The next one is Penco, P-E-N-C-C-O, from San Felipe, Texas. S-A-N-F-E-L-I-P-E.
Thank you.
I'll make it easy. All 4 items, no bid.
Did they send it back? Okay, somebody explain someday why someone wastes the postage and paper and ink, but okay.
Only $1.77.
I don't know, ink, paper.
I know.
Okay, and the last one is from Shannon, S-H-A-N-N-O-N Chemical Corporation, from Malvern, M-A-L-V-E-R-N, Pennsylvania. Bid item number 1, sodium hypochlorite solution, 15%, no bid. Bid item number 2, activated carbon for surface water treatment plant, no bid. Bid item number 3, potassium permanganate, free-flowing, unit price per pound delivered, $2.33. Bid item number 4, sodium hydroxide, 25%, unit price per gallon delivered, no bid. And those are our bids.
Oh, yay.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're very welcome.
So with that,
Get my pocket.
I know there is a request in the packet from the department to award to the apparent low bidders.
I was just going to entertain a motion, Mr. Dean.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Sure thing.
I would entertain a motion to pass on the bids that were opened to the Public Works Water and Sewer Department for review and consideration to award the chemical bid to the lowest responsible bidder that meet all of the criteria of the specification manual.
So moved.
Second. So motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, does that motion cover them actually purchasing the chemicals?
Making a recommendation to the board.
Because the memo sounded like they wanted us to go ahead and let the town manager.
Don't we usually come back to the board, Mr. Dean?
You typically do.
Right.
Yes.
That was the intent. I can rephrase the motion.
No, that's fine, that's what I thought
Oh, yeah.
you meant.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for your patience through that. Now is the opportunity for public comment. This is an opportunity for folks to come before the board with any public comments. We do ask if your comments are relative to the agenda that you wait till that comes. I'll pause for a moment. Thanks, Steve. And there is nobody on Zoom, so we will move on. Next item on the agenda is the approval of our regular meeting minutes. The last time we met was December 23rd, 2024. If the board has had an opportunity to review the minutes, I would ask if there are any amendments or revisions. No, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of December 23rd, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And we do not have any appointments or resignations this evening, so we can jump right into discussion items. And our first presentation this evening is from Arcove. Tracy Kozak has been a consultant working with the town, and we have a town hall assessment update. So,
Yes.
Mr. Dean?
Yes, Tracy, you want to come forward and give the board an update?
I just want to kind of reintroduce or introduce, we've seen this once before, but just for background, the Arts and Culture Commission was awarded a grant to look at the town hall and assess it for changes that the stakeholders that use it and the public in general have been asking us to do to make the town hall more productive and more active year-round. So, and at the same time, it coincided with the Department of Labor coming and doing a tour of all of our spaces to see if for safety. And they found some deficiencies, and that got wrapped into this. And so our goal ultimately was to come up with a design that met the Department of Labor standards, accessibility standards, ADA requirements, adding HVAC, which is the number one priority for just about everyone, and then design for the backstage spaces for the performances, and additional public bathrooms.
Okay.
One
Excellent.
decision point, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Please.
is We'll need to consider whether or not we're going to include this in the next round of the CIP as well.
Okay.
So that's for your consideration.
And I'm assuming the Facilities Committee has been part of this?
They looked at it a long time ago.
Okay.
But not recently.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that they've seen this final thing.
We have not met since November, to be
Okay.
fair, so.
Okay.
And just to let you know, the Arts and Culture Committee discussed it because Tony, what's his last name again?
Tony Calandrello's right
Thank
here.
you. I never pronounce it properly, sorry, Tony. Discussed it, but I don't see anyone here tonight, so.
The other part to add to that is that this is just this is not like hard
Understood.
construction documentation. It's just a presentation of what could possibly be. And the other aspect of it is that we didn't go into sound and lighting aspects of this. That's a second step before we get the real detailed numbers that we need.
Okay.
But yes, I want to get it in the CIP.
No, I appreciate the introduction. And Mr. Dean, if we could make sure that the Facilities Committee gets a copy of this for their review.
We will.
I think that would be important. So with that, Tracy, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Select Board and Town Manager. Thank you very much for having me. I am delighted for this opportunity to share some of our findings on this journey. We've been honored to be a part of this important building's history. Our team, Arcove, along with Preservation Company, did a deep dive into the historic significance of the building. And one of our first steps when we do these assessments is to assess the historic intrinsic value of the parts of the building, which really deserve to be preserved and kept, and maybe some of the things that were changed or added along the way that are not so important. We also took a look at all of the systems, the infrastructure, the structure, the MEP, the building envelope, and sort of ranked and categorized those in a way that it's kind of a standard format for these historic assessments, which can be then distributed to various grant entities for future funding. What we did find in general, there are pages of the report which you can read in detail, and I'm happy to answer any technical questions. But in general, the building has been cared for very well over the years. A lot of times we find in these old town hall buildings a lot of deferred maintenance, but that's really not the case here. There have been changes in use of the building over the years. As I'm sure you know, it's been repurposed for various uses. And as those uses have evolved and codes have evolved and technologies, it's tired. It doesn't quite serve the needs of what the town needs it for today. So after doing our existing conditions assessment, we met with, we received input from 22 different collaborators in the town, different committees, stakeholder groups, of all types. We met in person.
Can I just?
Sure.
Just so it doesn't seem like it's random, we did go through a few years of worth of permits from the Parks and Rec Department for users of the building and contacted them all, and that's mostly what this group is.
There are previous studies before we came on board as well, which we considered. And through meeting with them, we basically concluded a few major things could use some work. One is handicapped accessibility. There are a few approaches to this. An elevator that serves all levels is really critical, especially because there are civic activities on 3 major floors, 4 if you count the mezzanine. The bathrooms need to be accessible from the inside of the building without having to go outside and back in again. That's actually quite a major part of the work, to have the circulation work in a way that does not impede performances or town operations on the lower floor or the gallery. There are some safety issues that are truly a concern. They had been flagged by OSHA. You may know that the balcony level was pretty much off limits. So we found some ways to address that and make these areas safe by looking at means of egress, making sure there's 2 ways out from every space that needs it, proper railings on the balcony, stairways that are safe. Programmatically, we looked at the function of the auditorium, and particularly the stage and backstage. A lot of room for improvement back there, and I think we've come up with a solution based on input from the stakeholders, which allows a greater diversity of performances or activities on the stage by increasing the backstage space, making the stage handicap accessible, so that if you have a speaker or presenter or performer who needs that help to get up to that tall stage, they can. We increased the efficiency of the second floor office spaces, and by infilling a couple of areas which had extremely tall ceilings, we were able to increase usable or even rentable office or facility space on the second floor. There was talk about rental space perhaps for the community in that back gallery. We looked at a new mechanical system, and we did some energy modeling and tested some different theories about adding more insulation to different parts of the building. We found the roof was recently insulated in the attic, and adding anything more doesn't really help. The thermal R is on a curve, so after you reach a certain amount of insulation, adding more just doesn't really, you'll never get the money back. The heat pump system that we've recommended would provide air conditioning and making the building usable all year. As such, you could have events in the summer that are more marketable. And really, one of the goals was to allow this building to earn its keep, and perhaps the auditorium or gallery spaces or some other spaces could be rented by groups in the community if that is desired, to help offset some of the operational expenses. That is kind of it in a nutshell. It could be phased. This work would be extremely disruptive in terms of the elevator, mostly, because the elevator to reach the basement would need some excavation, and we believe there's ledge. So it would need to be very carefully phased so that business is not impacted. Happy to answer any specific questions.
We had this on PowerPoint. I wanted to show it up there.
Well, while we hold on, I want to just recognize the fact that I know Selectwoman Gilman, you and the Assistant Town Manager have been working with Tracy and the stakeholders very closely on this.
And slowly.
And slowly, and I think that could be expected for,
Yeah.
something of this size and scope. Do you have any recommendations of what you would recommend first in terms of phasing? Like what steps could we take in a year or two, or?
It's usually on these projects, we suggest stabilizing the building, but your building's in good shape, really. The envelope is watertight. You have new windows. It's pretty well insulated. A quick, cheap fix that would result in a lot of operational energy savings would be just to upgrade your air sealing, your draft stopping around your windows and doors. It's really simple. But other than that, the real big thing, I think, is handicapped accessibility. Fortunately, that's not a small bite. It's a big, it's a pretty big one. But that's really the most significant challenge on this building, is making it usable by everybody.
Please.
When it comes to HVAC, the auditorium spaces, it's a big space. That can be cooled?
Yes.
How much would that cost?
We do have a number that was put together
And
last summer.
it can just be an estimate.
It's an estimate.
Dig that out. In general, the MEP, it's probably going to be about 25% of the overall.
Of the overall cost of the project,
Yeah.
including the elevator?
Let me get you a real number.
Sorry to put you on the spot here.
Nope, I came prepared. Let's see. HVAC. We had a range between 530,000 and 584,000, and that's in 2024 dollars.
Yep.
That's just the HVAC. That does not include soft costs such as insurance, CM fees, contingency. So there
Right.
would be another probably.
So that amount in 2024 dollars would cool that large auditorium space as well as the upstairs space?
That would be the whole building.
That'd be
Yeah,
the
and there
whole
are already some spaces in the basement which have localized cooling. This would replace the whole building as
Yeah.
an entire system.
And would ductwork have to be added, and is that a historic concern?
Yes, and yes. Yes. There is a nice opportunity of some concealed space underneath the mezzanine. And then, of course, there's an attic where I believe there are some vertical chases we might try to repurpose
Yep.
to bring air vertically down
For the
auditorium.
auditorium?
That's the toughest one,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
Sure,
your
sure.
answers.
So when you say the ADA would be the first, would you suggest starting with the elevator? Or is there another area where you'd start? Because it
Yeah.
seems to me the ADA part of it is pretty extensive.
You really have to do the elevator. Because
First.
the bathrooms are in the basement and, all the activities are on the upper floor. So
Yes, it's
we
terrible.
are proposing one handicap bathroom on the first floor, but it's not enough. Really, the elevator would be a pretty big thing.
So that would be a first check off to
Yeah.
take care of that. And what would the estimated cost of that be?
Not sure I have that broken out as a line item. Oh, I do. It's about 300,000.
And that's just for the elevator to be able to reach 3 floors.
That's just the installation of the new elevator. The excavation is a little bit of an unknown until we do some test pits down there. And so this can vary wildly, but 150 to 200,000 probably just to get the demolition. There's temporary shoring involved. As you're removing the old one, it's complicated.
And the other thing that raises the price on this is that we'd have more stops, so that there's a stop at the basement level for where the public bathrooms will be, and they stop at the auditorium floor area and then actually a stop at the stage level. Because one of the things, some of the input we got from the stakeholders was that it was hard to get their scenery in because they had to climb up
It would
stairs.
also help with people needing the,
On stage,
yeah.
and then
So
stop
that would be two good reasons for that stop,
And
yeah.
a stop at the gallery level.
Okay.
Did I miss any?
So those are the first two phases you
Yeah.
recommend?
The HVAC can be phased in later. The air conditioning, the equipment you have now still has probably another 10 years or so of life. So you don't have, there's no emergency. But if you want to get more usability and comfort in the summer, you could do that at that point when you're
Sure.
ready. So that could easily be phased out as a separate thing.
And when you say the equipment we have now, it's a heating system, not a cooling system, correct?
It's primarily heat, but there are some small unitary cooling devices in the basement only. That is
Right.
primarily just heat.
But auditorium level, gallery level?
Auditorium is just
Only heat, yeah.
That's right.
Thank you.
Anti-heat gain.
So it sounds like the elevator would probably be
The first.
the first consideration
Yep.
and probably would take the longest.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
And if this all gets done, we can take down the exterior fire escape. One of my goals. But with all the ADA compliance,
Right.
we have interior stairs with the fire code rated construction, so everybody can get down safely.
That's good.
So-
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so just one more question. So kind of along the same lines as my question about ductwork and historicity, what was the, and this is more of a question for Selectwoman Gilman, because I know this is what you care about, what was the balance between the historicity of the building and making it more usable? Can you talk a little bit about that?
There actually wasn't very much conflict. Some of it is actually returning as much as we can on the stage level to what it might have been. We're not even really sure. But really, the back of house space has been so changed that, and it doesn't affect the exterior at all, the look of the building. So I'm very pleased with it.
So you found that you didn't have to sacrifice a lot of the historic nature of the building,
No,
making these recommendations?
no.
Were there any recommendations that you would have considered if not for the historic nature of the building? Is that a fair question?
Not to me. I will always say there is nothing that.
Well, let me ask our consultant then. Were there any changes that you would have recommended, but because of the historic nature of the building, you just said, no, we're going to forego that?
Boy,
And if you want to
No.
answer that question at another time after thinking
I
about it.
think we accomplished everything we needed to. As Julie said, most of the changes are backstage, and I think the one thing that may have given our historic consultant a little bit of pause is the very original doors in back of what is now the stage are there showing a time when there wasn't a stage. Go all the way down. We're keeping that. We're not restoring it to the original condition. I mean, that's sort of the extreme of historic preservation. So I think our approach has been discreet, and there's really nothing really visible that you'll see that's changing it. Right now, the elevator that's in there is, I think, the worst intrusion. We're not making it any better. But we're not making it worse either.
Right. So I did not realize that the stage was not always there. Lincoln did not speak from that stage.
No.
So what was there when the building first opened?
I think it was just a flat space. I can't tell you for sure because nobody's, I don't know
Well-
that anybody's had the drawings. The balcony definitely wasn't there. That was put in the 1930s
Okay.
or 1880s.
All we can say is that we see trim that goes, all the way to the auditorium floor through the stage. So
And the
that's
doors,
original trim.
yeah, and the door, there's a door there that's painted
Yeah.
half green for the, wall color, and it's
Yeah.
half brown for the back of the
So it was just an auditorium with no stage
Yeah.
Right.
originally,
Yeah, and they used it for,
which was when Lincoln spoke there.
yeah,
And
he
right
might have
after
had, they might have put a temporary platform in or
Right,
something.
but shortly after the building opened is when he was here, right? It's
There-
interesting. I
There
never
also
realized
used to be wrestling matches in there, and we had the, what do you call the things that go on the floor that hold the stanchions?
that. Turnbuckles?
Well, no, but anyway, we had the place to put the stanchions for the rings
Interesting.
that got removed when it was last
So,
sealed.
with the elevators, would the building need to be closed for any amount of time when the elevators are replaced? The elevator, excuse me, is replaced?
Not the whole building, but the work area would need to be, have a temporary partition to screen off the work area at a certain perimeter around that. So that would affect that room behind the gallery space primarily. It also involves rebuilding an exit stair next to the elevator. So that whole sort of corner of the building would be off limits. So that's maybe 20% of the building would be quadrant off.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Dean, would that affect Exeter TV in that group? Would they have to relocate?
They may have to for temporary purposes, yeah.
Any other questions? First of all, thank you for coming before us this evening. I know that, again, you've been working with the stakeholders and with Selectwoman Gilman and Assistant Town Manager Roy. If I could ask you a question, what are the next steps in terms of meeting again with the stakeholders, or is that to be determined?
I think it's to be determined. We really hadn't talked about it yet.
Okay.
But I think we need to hear more about what they want to see for sound and lighting. Bob Glowacki was going to point us in some direction of what he would prefer.
Sure.
So that would be our next step before we come up with a good number to say, hey, let's go go forward with the project.
Lighting and sound.
Yeah, so we
Better
can have it all.
acoustic? Sorry, they're terrible.
So we can show you the whole package, and then that's when we divide it up to different
Okay.
phases.
Procedurally, Mr. Dean, I know the May 24 assessment and feasibility study was in the packet. There was a supplemental packet, I believe,
Yes.
earlier today with the January 6th presentation. To ensure that everybody received it, I know we have a member of the Arts and Culture Committee here, but I really think this should be sent to the Arts and Culture Committee. It should be sent to the Facilities Committee for review. And if you're serious about discussing this as a CIP, we should start talking about it much sooner than later.
Right.
And getting input from both of those committees, I think, is important.
Okay. Thank you.
Tony, you're here. Hello. A member of the Arts and Culture Committee.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll be seeing you soon, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
It's interesting. And exciting to take next steps.
It is.
It is.
Okay, our next presentation, I know we have members of the Energy Committee here to talk about window dressers, community build. Step right up. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Amy Farnham. I'm Stephanie Marshall, and we're members of the Energy Committee. And thank you for your time tonight. We're about to kick off the final phase of a new Energy Committee initiative called the Window Dressers Program. And that's going to be kicked off with a community build at the town hall with no changes necessary for it to happen. The community build is going to be from January 18th through the 23rd, and we're going to be having 2 sessions a day, 4 hours each, of volunteers coming in and constructing these inserts. Just as a review, because I know you've all been busy with a lot of other issues, what this is a program that allows residents and businesses and nonprofits access to low-cost insulating window inserts. These are made from a wooden frame with double layers of plastic and then a foam around the edges. The average cost is anywhere from, it's based on the size, from $40 to $75 per insert. And the cost is kept low in part because all of the labor is done by volunteers. We've had a crew out in the community since, I think, September doing measuring of people who expressed an interest. So we've custom measured anyone who wanted to have inserts, gone into people's homes, gone into a nonprofit, measured all the windows. And then the build is all done by volunteers. Many, the people who have purchased them are obligated to participate in the build, as well as many other volunteers who have signed up along the way as we've been tabling and at the voting, and people have expressed interest in just helping out with this. So what happens at the build is there are jigs that have been set up that have been invented by this group in Maine to put these together in an efficient way for people who are not professionally trained to be construction people. There's no power tools involved, and each group comes in for a session, gets trained, and works for 4 hours to do part of the assembly. And then what happens after that is the customers who purchase them have to take them home. We're not delivering them, but they take them home and install them, which really means, because we've done such a great job measuring, you pop them in on the interior of a window and you just pop them in. So what these bills really are like is like a barn raising or a quilting bee, in that they are really neighbors helping other neighbors to make something that is very simple but very effective in terms of insulating for heat loss. Window Dressers itself, I think, is a program that's a nonprofit that's been around since 2010 out of Rockland, Maine. They provide consultation, customer service, database, a lot of support, and they actually cut the wood frames based on the measurements. Then they will put that all together. We're going to go pick that up from Portland, Maine next Sunday, bring it down, store it in the town hall until the 17th. And this year there have been 55 community bills through Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire. 29 in Maine, 21 in Vermont, and a big 5 in New Hampshire. We're trying to get those on the map here. And with that, we're going to build over 10,500 inserts totally in the region. Being that we're the Energy Committee and interested in metrics on what all this means, it is a savings of 688,000 gallons of heating oil, 95,000 MBTUs of natural gas, 23 million in fuel cost savings for those people, and 7,700 tons of carbon dioxide. So I think this is a wonderful program. It is local, but it has regional impact, and very definitely around energy savings, cost savings, as well as comfort and warmth. We know that drafty windows are responsible for 25 to 35% of heating loss. On a cold day like this, many of you may live in houses where it doesn't matter where you crank up the heat, it's still cold. And we saw a lot of people who said they get through the winter and they're always chilly, that you just can't get their homes warm. Replacing or restoring windows is a huge expense, and while these are very low cost, there are many folks who can't afford even that low cost. So one of the core principles of Window Dressers is that we raise funds so that a quarter to a third of all of these inserts are for folks who pay zero for them. And that's another part of what really attracted us to this program. So Amy, you want to talk about where we are in Exeter here?
Yep. So locally, we have gone out, like Stephanie said, and done this measuring. We've gone to people's homes and we've taken orders for 200 inserts. Wow. And that was our goal from Window Dressers. They said, how about 200? And we thought, oh my gosh, that seems huge. But we did it. We made it. So that's across 22 residents and one nonprofit. So we're looking good. We have some grant money. So we got about $2,500 between two grants. One was from the Grassroots Fund. Another was from the UU Church, the Ingeborg Locke grant. So that helped about a quarter of our residents, our customers.
Great.
What's so nice about that is, to go to people's homes and have them explain to you how they're uncomfortable. And they understand that they're just losing money as it goes out the window. And so you measure them up and you say, okay, here's the cost. And they share with you, you know what, that's a lot. I can't do that. And having the ability to say, that's okay, we got you covered, was just an incredible feeling. I mean, it's amazing. And it felt really nice to be able to do that for both their comfort and their finances, but also we know that it's an environmental impact too. So it sort of checks all the boxes. So what else? This program has been very different than the other, efforts that we've done as the Energy Committee. We did the solar on the landfill and did some insulating of the town hall and the LED streetlights, and that's sort of a less personal sort of like, let's find someone to do this. Whereas this was very personal. We did it on the ground level and, got into people's homes and met a bunch of people and gathered volunteers and talked to, so many people about it over the past, I guess it's been a year now that we've been working on it. So it was a really neat project. We hope that it continues. I'm not sure that we will continue next year, but if anyone listening wants to take it over, they're welcome to. But yeah, like Stephanie said, so we have this, this community build coming up. We have about a little over 80 volunteers that have come forward to help us. And there still are spots available. So I'm looking at all
That's my
you
job.
and everyone
You are.
listening and
Got that.
everyone in this room.
I would really appreciate it if at some point it's 4 days, 5 days?
It's 5 days.
Yeah, at some point during a shift.
It's the MLK weekend, so
Yeah.
that Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Those days were pretty well covered. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we really need people. It'd be a great photo op too if you wanted to come sign up. Go to windowdressers.org and you can find the community build, find the Exeter one and sign up there. So the shifts are 4 hours. You can even say, hey, I want to bring lunch instead of doing a shift.
And that's only an hour and a half.
Right, that's an hour and a half. But it really is unskilled. So Stephanie and I and a bunch of others have been trained. We've gone to other builds and we've learned how to do it. We're going to show you everything very easy and it's fun. It actually is a lot of fun. You're there with your neighbors. You're building these window inserts for people that you know are going to appreciate them. So we want to thank you, Julie. Julie's been great for us.
They have done all the work.
Kristen has done a lot of work as
Yeah.
well, so she's
Yeah.
been great. We just thank you all for listening and supporting us.
Thank you. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful. And, I like what you said, Amy. The Energy Committee has done so many positive initiatives for this town to become more energy efficient. But this hits home because it's personal and, it hits home. So, I mean, this is really wonderful. And I can't thank both of you and everybody enough for doing this. Moving forward, though, and I know you're going to try to pass the baton next year, but what can we, if anything, what can we do to look for and investigate additional grants? Is that something that's out there or?
There probably are.
Yeah.
I'm unsure of which ones we would qualify for.
Okay.
Certainly, there are more, and
The Grassroots grant was an initial one for 1,000, and we could get a 4,000 for that.
Okay.
I think we're really looking at volunteer help and coordination and legwork. But our expectation is, and the history with a lot of these other communities, is that once people understand it and experience it, it really builds community along the way.
Right.
And I think people will jump in and help with that. And that's really what's going to be required. And that, we happen to do it on MLK weekend, but I think it really speaks to people helping each other out, people coming together from very different backgrounds. And as we know, that's just so necessary at this time and all times. And I think it really shows, and I think it represents Exeter as a place where this is going to be really successful. So that's the other part we're really very pleased about, so.
Please.
Is there anybody that's volunteering with you right now that's interested in doing this again? Has anyone voiced any thoughts about
There are
this?
some folks at the UU Church who seem to be very excited about it.
Okay.
They've given us a grant, but they're also very involved. We have a lot of them have signed up as volunteers. You know, they have a social justice and environmental groups, and so this kind of sounds like something that they might take on, but we'll see.
Okay,
Seacoast School of Technology might
might too.
Yeah, I've talked to them a little bit about it. It doesn't quite fit their
okay.
model and their
just a
schedule.
just a
but yeah.
5-day thing.
I know.
Yeah, it doesn't take that many, but I think it takes, what we know, it takes more than the Energy Committee. We're very clear about that. And I think we would be interested. It's a great to lodge it under the town, has been very successful. We've had a lot of access to outreach and at the polls and that kind of thing. But we just need a lot of folks to step up who can coordinate things. A lot of people will give 4 hours, but to coordinate and,
Right.
as you know, as we all know. But it has been so successful in other towns that has gone on for 10 years. So that's really wonderful. But
So there's no way of knowing how many volunteers you'd need because it would be based on how many people are going to be served.
Right, and the more inserts you need to build, the more
Yes.
time
Yeah,
you need.
okay.
The more, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's something to think about, see
Yeah,
how
but
we can
certainly
promote.
Come by and just drop in. We're going to allow people, if they're in the area, to put out a sign for people to just drop in and see it and see what's going on. And I think it's such great visibility right in the middle of town, too.
Right.
That's a wonderful spot for it. So I was just at the Allagash Brewing Company in Portland today, which is way out in some back thing where you never know what was going on, but they were brewing beer where we were, too, so.
So have we been in touch with Exeter TV for them to maybe film some of,
Yep.
Yep, so
That
they've done
sounds
some
good.
promos for us. We've explained it.
and they'll be over there with,
And yeah, we've asked them to come by.
And they're going to
Yeah.
come by and
Yeah.
film it, so.
good, thank you.
So come get a volunteer endorphin in the middle of January.
And it's windowdresses.org.
Yeah.
.org. Yep.
Okay, and
Yeah.
look for Exeter.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
First one on the
Thank you.
page. I know, it looks
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
You already saw it.
I've
Yes.
already saw it.
Good.
All right.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
You too.
This is great.
I know, it's really exciting.
It's open to all of you, too.
Yes, the class is public policy, so there we go, right?
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Bill, am I right? There is someone that coordinates volunteer activity at the academy?
Liz Reyes.
You did reach out to her?
We
Great.
did not reach out to her.
Hey.
That's a great point.
Yeah. You might want to give Liz, the lead time may not be enough at this point, but that's one aspect of her job.
That's
so.
true.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Our last discussion item this evening is continued conversation on the FY25 budget. I would note that, and I apologize, I had the expectation that the draft warrant was going to be available for the packet for our review, but unfortunately it was not. So Mr. Dean, I'd like to table the review of the warrant till next Monday.
Okay.
And when the executive team and I meet later this week, I've only glanced at this, but I've seen a few things we need to fix. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask the board for their indulgence to table the warrant, but certainly open it up to any further discussion on the budget. And I'll just go down the table here. If anybody has anything they want to discuss, Selectwoman Belanger.
I don't. I've gone through this again for I don't know how many times. Understanding that health insurance, dental insurance is a huge increase this year. Also, we did the reclassification. We have 3 union contracts that are being, but I think between the Budget Recommendation Committee, they did a very thorough job in vetting this. And it's not that I'm not open if anyone else has some suggestions, but I personally am fine with the way it is, and I'm ready to let the voters make their decision
Yep.
at this point.
Corey, could I ask, could you come up to the table just for a quick second? Can you just run through with the board again where we're at with the increase? And we had talked about that on the 23rd, and I know you had sent the board some invitation as requested by Selectwoman Belanger, but if you could just remind us of where we're at.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Budget Recommendations Committee handed off a general fund budget of $24,164,000 through our open enrollment for benefits, health and dental and whatnot. We had some savings there. We've also had some staff changes. We've also found some additional areas, as I had illustrated to you folks last week, where we've now got the budget down to $23,983,000, which is 4.91% over last year's budget.
Okay.
We don't anticipate too much more change
Okay.
at this point.
That's the answer. Thank you. Appreciate it. Selectwoman Gilman?
No, I've seen very little change in anything that I was looking at. So,
Yeah.
it's what the Budget Committee has recommended. It's been really scoured, so I feel pretty comfortable with it.
Okay. Selectwoman Cowan?
I feel the same. I know I would have some trouble at home if I quibbled with the BRC, which is very, very thorough. And thank you so much. For those wondering, my wife serves on the Budget Recommendations Committee. And it is a, Mr. Chair, do you want to explain to these fine people how our budget gets done?
Sure.
It's like, where to begin?
I'll keep it brief. So the town manager, the assistant town manager, and the finance director start working on the budget sometime in late spring. There's usually a meeting between, that's called the executive team. It's a town manager, assistant town manager, and finance director. And the last couple of years, they, along with the chair of the select board and the chair of the budget recommendations committee, meet and sort of start looking over the preliminary budget. The executive team then meets with department heads through the summer, and the Budget Recommendations Committee meets sometime at the end of July just to reconvene. But the heavy lifting starts in late September. The town manager presents the draft budget, all of the warrant articles that are going to be on the CIP, that's Capital Improvement Project. And the Budget Recommendation Committee splits into subcommittees, and they really start their heavy lifting from the end of September through right before Thanksgiving. They meet with all the departments. They go over the budget lines, line item by line item. They meet 6 or 7 times during the course of the fall, reviewing the budget, and at the end, they make a recommendation to the select board. Usually the first meeting in December, the budget recommendation chair comes before the board. And between then and right around where we're at now, the select board reviews their recommendations, looks at the budget to see if there's anything else that needs to be revised, increased, decreased. As you heard from the finance director this year, we had some health insurance increases that were very significant. And that drove the budget the increase up quite a bit. But over the open enrollment process, folks either opted out of the plan or took a buyout, and that actually decreased. So we're at a space now where about 5% increase over last year. The next step is the third Tuesday in January is called the budget hearing, and that's when the select board will meet in this room. It's open to the public, and we go through all of the warrant articles that would be on the ballot in March, and that includes reviewing the general budget as well. From there, the first Saturday in February is the deliberative session that's held at the high school. That's the first part of town meeting. And that's when the town moderator will go through the warrant, and folks have the ability to get up and either speak to it, ask questions, or try to amend it. From there, it goes to the election the second Tuesday in March. Did I hit everything?
Yeah, and the Budget Recommendations Committee are a group of volunteers. Usually it's about 13 people, and they're actually voted on. So you have to, you interview with us, and then you say, yes, I would like to be voted on, and then the voters actually vote on them as a slate. So there's all of these different levels of interaction. So when we're saying, oh yeah, no, we don't have any major questions, it's because it has been proposed by the department heads. It's been vetted by everybody. We've gone over it before. We've asked our questions. And so now we're sort of at the final version of this project, of this product that has had everybody's input, including a group of, 13 or so volunteers. Our chair used to chair the Budget Recommendations Committee. My spouse serves on it right now, and it's just, it's a really easy, kind of low stakes way to be involved in the town. And as you all probably know, and if you're in this government class, sort of the budget is the priorities, right? Like you can tell somebody what people care about by looking at their budget and what they spend their money on. And so that's a really good way of looking at, what we care about, which is a lot of safety and drinking water and, making sure our sewers run and, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it's important to understand why none of us are, raising our hands and saying I have major problems, because this has been almost a year-long process, and we do it every year.
Yeah, and if I could add, so as Molly said, it's volunteer, but subcommittees are formed on our budget committee, and they meet with the department heads, go line item to line item, and then they're debated during all the budget. All the budget committee members meet together, and they debate the line items, they question them, and they're televised. So it's open.
And you can come and
you can come, but even if you don't come,
That's right,
you can go to Exeter TV's schedule and you can watch the process. It's really important because sometimes there's some misinformation about how the budget spending happens, and it's really important to go home, if you don't do it here, when you go home, to watch your budget process in your own towns and cities, and understand the process and where the money's going and why. And this board, we discuss it at this level too, but ultimately, once everything's vetted, it goes to the voters they make the final decision. So it's a huge, very important part of what we do in the town.
Absolutely, and we've all, at one point or another, been on the Budget Recommendations Committee. It's probably the best way to learn how your town is run, how the money is spent. And as Selectwoman Belanger said, I mean, there is active discussion, debate. It's a pretty robust initiative, and it's done over, a very finite period of time. Yet it is so important to the outcome of our town election, because they're really doing the legwork to find out, where the money is being recommended to be spent, where it should be spent, where they think things should be cut or phased or maybe paused for another year. And the meetings are open. We all go to most of the meetings, so we actually, if we're not there live, we watch them on TV. And
yes, we don't interject. We're only there.
That's right.
The chair
we don't participate.
We'll
We're there
answer if asked,
Yeah.
but at that level, we do not talk.
And it's really a testament to the Budget Recommendations Committee that over the last, 5 or 6 years, when it finally gets to the select board, it's ready for prime time. I mean, we make a slight revision once or twice, but not a whole lot.
Once
Their work
it's legal, and it was because, in all fairness, the budget committee did not know what we knew about upcoming expenses, right? It's very rare, but they debate this a lot, and it's so fascinating. Sorry, I love budget season. It's so fascinating when new members go on the budget committee, because questions were asked 2 years ago, 5 years ago. They're asked again through new perspective, new discussion, new information, and it's a fascinating process. I know it might not sound like that to you right now, but it is.
But if you understand a budget or a purchase and a profits and loss page, spreadsheet, you are going to put yourself leaps and bounds ahead of other folks, because it is a very important document to understand.
And it's very rewarding to see that blend of folks that serve on the committee, because, as Selectwoman Belanger said, there are folks that have only served for a year or two. The chair of the BRC presently, I think, has been on it for 15 years, 16, 17, 18 years.
Sorry, Bob, I don't want to age you,
but
he's been fascinating.
But that historical perspective is there, yet you do have some of the newer members that are coming in with a fresh perspective, fresh set of eyes. So it's interesting to watch the meetings and the discussions
The
and the
historical
questions.
knowledge, the discussion, it might change someone's mind, it might open a new perspective. It's a really great process.
So now that you know how the BRC works, I don't want Selectman Chartrand to feel neglected that we didn't get his input.
So for all the reasons just explained, I have no changes to suggest to the budget. It was a very thorough vetting that the Budget Recommendation Committee made. I am historically loath to mess with the BRC's process after it's over, unless there's some kind of information that comes through, as Selectwoman Belanger said. I took a quick rip through the warrant that was just handed to us tonight, and I do have two comments. Do you want me to do these here or give them to you?
Well, we're discussing, well,
Is it about a warrant article or just the?
Well, speaking of the Budget Recommendation Committee, the Article 24, the BRC requested that it be conditional on the grant, and that's not reflected currently in the language.
I haven't had a chance.
So that needs to be changed.
We're going to go through this with the E-team on Thursday.
Right. But speaking of the BRC, they made a very specific suggestion on 24. And then I'm just going to put a marker down on Article 31, which is the TIF amendment article. This is, obviously, there's details left out here. This is a draft, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
And we need some very specific details packed in there.
Okay.
And I've put a marker down on that before, and I'm putting a marker down on that again tonight.
You're a quicker reader than I haven't read any of them.
And that's it.
Those were the two that caught my eye earlier this evening. To Article 31, I don't even know if that will be there next week. So that remains to be seen.
Okay.
Thank you, though. Anything else on the budget? Okay. Moving into our regular business, there are no tax abatements, credits, or exemptions, no permits and approvals. Mr. Dean, your town manager's report, please.
Sure. To let the board know, we had another senior luncheon recently, and we had 70 to 80 attendees through Parks and Recreation over at the Town Hall, and it was a great event for those who were able to attend, and we did have staff who assisted on that, so we wanted to say thank you to them as well. And the next one is January 10th, this coming Friday. So anybody who wants to volunteer is welcome to volunteer to assist at that event. The Parks and Rec is also updating in the website for lifeguard positions, summer camp positions. Applications and positions are available with the town, so we're already going into the hiring process for those positions. So if people want to look on the website, they can find out more information about that. Also, there'll be a meeting this week with Coast regarding expanding Route 7 service. David Tovey from Parks and Rec will be representing the town at that meeting. If there's any interest in attendance from the board members, just let me know and we can get you details on that. That is something that will happen this week. Also, the CALIA report is in for the police department, a very good report, speaks very highly of our department. And their next step is to go to California in March for a hearing process.
Can I stop you there? Was that a draft or was that the final report that I saw?
I believe it's a draft.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So that was the draft, and then you could just remind the board what the CALIA report is.
It's the accreditation of the department, national accreditation.
Okay. And who's going to California?
They'll be the chiefs.
Thank you.
Yes. We have 3 upcoming retirements, all in Public Works. Tom Estes is retiring with us at the end of the month. Paul Roy, our water treatment plant supervisor, is also retiring, and we received notice from Bill Baptiste that he will be retiring as well. So we thank all 3 of them for their years of service to the town, and we'll be having some ceremonies for them, which we'll keep the board informed about as
Please
we
do.
move ahead. The Styrofoam project happened this past weekend, hosted by Sustainability over at the transfer station. And the auditors have come in to begin some field work through the finance office. And also Bill Keegan, from Keegan Associates, is coming back to the town January 13th and 14th. And he'll be speaking with departments regarding follow-up and also the board members.
Okay.
And that was my report, unless there are questions.
I don't have any questions. Any questions for Mr. Dean?
Only about Mr. Keegan coming back. I'm happy to hear he's coming back. When you say the board members, he's going to want to talk to us again?
Yes, that was the indication
Well,
he made.
I just need some heads up because
Okay.
I do have my day job.
Yes.
So,
So
like
we'll
with
work
the
there.
Energy Committee, I'd love to help them, but I work that Monday. So
Okay.
I just have to plan ahead as much as possible.
Okay.
Please.
Agreed. Thank you. I'm going to start down here with Select Board Committee reports because I think you actually attended the Styrofoam.
I did.
Please,
And
fill
I
us-
have an email from Kristen Murphy, who is our staff side support for the Sustainability Advisory Committee. And she has some metrics. It was an amazing event. We went in with a lot of questions about whether there would be a response. And just to give a little bit of background, the whole idea here is that we were collecting rigid styrofoam, which is the really light stuff, that when you put it in a blue bag for the town trash, it takes very few pieces to fill up a blue bag. And so it's like a huge amount of waste in terms of landfill space, dollars spent on blue bags. And there is a proposal that I just referenced to put to potentially get a styrofoam recycling equipment out at our transfer station. So we decided to do this. Sustainability Advisory decided to do this little styrofoam recycling event on Saturday as a way to test whether there was actually demand, and we were shocked. 62 cars showed up with very little notice. Everyone had like some styrofoam, some just had a few pieces, some people had like entire like the backs of their cars or trucks. We filled up 12 super sacks with rigid styrofoam. We broke it up, we crunched it down, so it was really, they're very light, but it was very tightly packed super sacks. It was a lot of styrofoam that came out to the Public Works station on Saturday. The 12 super sacks are the rough equivalent of 75 large blue bags, which would cost $187.50 in terms of what we pay Waste Management. Some notes on the numbers that Kristen, so 62 cars in 2 hours, 12 super sacks. It would have taken the 15-gallon bags would have required 171 bags to accommodate that much styrofoam. And a super sack that we filled is 1 cubic yard, equivalent to 0.16 cubic yards. And this, there's an underestimate here in terms of the blue bags saved because there's efficiencies, each household doing their own trash styrofoam going out. It was wildly successful. We were shocked, and it made us very excited about the potential for having a regional collection for styrofoam at the transfer station. So anyway, it was a great event, and thank you to all the folks, the 62 folks who came out on very short notice and brought us their styrofoam to recycle.
This was a great project.
Yeah, it really was. Thanks to our chair of Sustainability Advisory, Chris Zigmont, and also Keith Oh, my God.
White House.
White House, thank you. The two of them drove a truck with the trailer full of sacks to Guilford that day. So they put in an extra, I would imagine, like 3-4 hours
Yeah.
to get that up to Guilford to have it be recycled by that regional recycling center. Yeah, it was exciting. And kudos to our staff side support for Sustainability Advisory, Kristen Murphy. She's the one that actually did the environmental scanning that made us realize that this might be a potential thing for Exeter to do. So she's always scanning the environment, looking for ways to reduce our solid waste landfill stream, which is extremely expensive. We pay over, Mr. Dean, $1 million a year?
Yes, more than that.
Yeah, in excess of $1 million a year to have Waste Management pick up our blue bags and our mixed recycling bins. And anything we can do to reduce that and turn it into a commodity and actually take money in for the town, that's a huge deal. So, thank you. Sorry to go on.
No,
No,
thank you.
exciting.
That is exciting. And hopefully, Chair Zygmunt and Kristen will be at deliberative session to speak to this when the
I
warrant.
can only imagine.
I hope so. Did you have any other committees?
That was it.
No, okay. Selectwoman Cowan?
I had nothing.
Selectwoman Gilman?
I also had nothing, but the rates for our energy supply came out, and I don't know what they
I
are.
think they're in our correspondence.
They are in our correspondence. They look about the same as this past 6 months. And I'm sorry I wasn't prepared for that.
Do you want this?
No, I'm happy.
Oh, okay. Do you want
Good
this?
night. Thank you for coming.
Good night.
No one.
Watch the budget process. I promise. You'll be fascinated.
One of the things to know is that the Public Utilities Commission is still giving us a hard time.
You too.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I should stop. Is still giving or making it difficult for net metering, and they want us and to be a third-party supplier at all. They're siding with the big guys and want to force some costs down to energy suppliers like the Community Coalition and take some money away from us. So I'll let you know after Friday's meeting.
Okay, please do. That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Selectwoman Belandro?
The window people told the Energy Committee was here, so.
I don't have a report, but if I can just take a minute for the planning board, we have a site walk for 76 Portsmouth Ave. I just want to remind people.
Yeah.
And Haven Lane. That's at 8 o'clock Thursday morning for anyone who wants to attend. It's open to the public. And that project, along with the Riverwoods, is tentatively on the planning board's schedule for January 23rd. So I wanted people to remember that. Also, this Thursday's planning board meeting is to talk about a proposed zoning amendment. You can find the language on the planning board agenda for Thursday night, but it's on short-term rental.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Oh,
Is there a meeting place for that site walk on Thursday?
well, the suggested was to park at Walgreens and walk over.
Okay.
That would be the easiest.
But are they meeting on Haven Lane or out on Port?
On Haven Lane, excuse me.
So at the very end of Haven Lane?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, but for traffic purposes and stuff, they suggested that we park
Okay.
at Walgreens and just walk over, because it's that first right.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of interest, so I just want
That's-
people to know where they should go to.
Yes.
To meet up with the planning
Yeah,
board. for
entrance
this.
for it is, and I can't tell you specifically, they said that there's a little walkway area, but there will be people there.
Look
People
for
who
the
are
crowd at the end of Haven Lane.
Look for a crowd of people, because all the planning board members will be there, along with the architects and the people who have brought this before the planning board.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. I did not have any committee reports either. Our correspondence, Selectwoman Gilman spoke of the new rates, which are in a correspondence, and then also a reminder from SAU 16 for their survey that they are taking. It takes about 5 minutes. I took it actually this morning. It came in my email again. And there is a QR code on the piece of correspondence. The board calendar, though it's not on the agenda, let's review that. We will be meeting next Monday, January 13th, and I appreciate the board making themselves available on short notice. We had a couple of things come up that could not wait until the 21st. So we'll be meeting on the 13th. The budget hearing is on the 21st, which is a Tuesday. We meet on February 3rd, February 18th, which again is a Tuesday.
Wait, sorry, February.
3rd.
Okay, I'm in January. I see. February 3rd. Yep.
Yep. February 18th. And March 3rd.
February 18th.
It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Due to the President's Day holiday.
Yep.
And March 3rd.
And March
Which I need
3rd.
to asterisk. Last one scheduled, I try to make a
All right.
note.
Other notable dates, February 1st, again, is a deliberative session at 9 a.m. at the high school. And March 11th will be the town election from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Tuck Auditorium.
So Sunday the 9th, or Sunday February 9th, or the 8th.
What?
For the deliberative session.
No.
February 1st. Oh my God, it's too much. Okay.
We'll be knocking on your door.
Yeah, I know,
Oh,
don't worry, we'll get
Julian,
you.
I'll come back.
I can't do this as fast as you can, so I'll write them down and load them in later.
No, I think I've got them. I just, if it's not in my calendar, I will book something, and it is.
I
bad.
understand that.
Okay. Oh wait, the election. Let me see. I think I know that.
The 11th.
May 11th. Yes. No school. Aha. Election. Okay. Okay. Yep. Good.
Any other business?
Ooh.
Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So
Second.
moved.
It's motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for bringing
Thank you
everyone
for
back.
tuning in
So-
to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.